Welcome back to Master Your Ash. I'm your host, Michael Prisdale, and today we are going to take a look at the Flor Dominicana La Volcada and kind of like some one-off whiskeys that we have over here. So I'm going to start with the whiskeys because there's two of them, and I want to make sure that I properly introduce them. Frey Ranch, which has been featured on the channel before. They are a Nevada farm, family-owned since before Nevada was a state, and they make some of the best bourbon, in my opinion, that we have in the whole entire country. So with all of that being said, typically you've seen the bourbon, you've seen the rye if you've been on this channel enough. I've spoken very highly about both of them and my affinity for them. This is a one-off series that was released in November of last year, 2021, and it is a 100% single grain whiskey series that they decided to produce. So this is 100% oat, this is 100% wheat. And it's kind of a fun little mix. I wanted to include this with the Flor Dominicana La Volcada because the La Volcada is also kind of a single one-off expression. The La Volcada was released at IPCPR in 2017 and subsequently thereafter for regular production, and has existed since after the singular release of the Andalusian Bull line and the La Flor Dominicana La Nox line. So the Volcada is the fiery kind of cousin of the La Nox line. And it comes with a slightly pigtailed cap, a very kind of chocolate brown wrapper on it, and just really, really nice kind of toothy wrapper, which does happen to be Mexican San Andres. So Mexican San Andres wrapper, Ecuadorian Corojo binder, and Dominican filler, which is really cool. And the cap on that one just kind of twisted right off. So we'll light this bad boy up. Wow. Alrighty, Xikar. I'm gonna have to send you an email about that one. So, La Volcada, let's dive into it. We've got warm leather, slight barnyard, definitely like hay, barnyard flavors, fermentation for sure. And then there's like this lemon citrus oatmeal kind of note to it. And one of the reasons why I wanted to pair it with this single grain oat whiskey is because of that oatmeal note that I got off of the first sample that I smoked. And I bought the La Volcada along with the La Nox. So this particular, these La Volcadas I've had for the better part about the last year, because I tried the La Nox 2020 and then bought more in 2021. Wow, this smells like an oatmeal cookie. Maybe without the sugar, like a really, really dry oatmeal cookie. That's wild. That is wild. That tastes like if I took a scoop of oats and if I took a scoop of oatmeal that I had made, it's like steel cut oats, like a really, really dry oat. If I just took those steel cut oats, I made them, right? I took it and I took a bite of it and then I drank whiskey right after. Which I guess is probably, it makes sense, right? 100% oat whiskey. Yeah, that works. That's fun. Okay, so the funny thing is that after you have something that has kind of like an oatmeal kind of initial light, and then you have a 100% oat whiskey, the major flavors that come out are like sunflowers. Like sunflower seed. Really unique, really fun. And this is the first time that I've had the opportunity to try the 100% oat and the 100% wheat. This is the third or fourth La Volcada that I've smoked. I think that I smoked 2 Lennox that I haven't done a review on yet, and this is the second or third La Volcada. Which, the first La Volcada that I smoked was definitely more mild than the majority of the La Flor Dominicana that's out there. Definitely not as strong as an Andalusian Bull or any of the chapter lines, or even like the DL series. We're gonna use the same glass for the wheat, just as a comparison. And just so that everybody knows, these are 6 years and 6 month aged, printed on the bottles. And then on the wheat, 50% alcohol by volume. That's also printed on the bottle, right on that side. And 100 proof, 50% on the oat. So the whiskey is slightly overwhelming to the cigar on the initial pre-light, but I think that overall, once the blend kind of comes into its own and we get into that second, third, and final third, yeah. The wheat is definitely sweeter on the palate. Not because there's any added sugar to it, but I mean, like leg-wise and texture-wise, it's definitely sweeter to my palate than the oat. The oat is definitely drier. The wheat doesn't really change the flavors that I get off the cigar, at least on the initial third, but it makes the arid, dry kind of smoke texture that was present throughout the cigar, it makes that taste a little bit more balanced. So the extra sweetness that I perceive on my palate from the wheat makes the cigar taste a little bit more balanced in just the initial pairing, which is kind of cool. So MSRP wise, you're looking at about $50 and $60 per bottle, and I believe that they're only available in 375s. You may have to double check online at any of your, or at your local spirit store, wherever they sell Frey Ranch. But it's not exactly a cheap expression of whiskey because it is 100% coming from a single grain, but it is kind of cool that an American distillery, and for me being a Las Vegas native, that a Nevada distillery is producing a single grain whiskey like this, and the quality on it is exceptional. Like, if you would have told me this was only wheat, I would say no, there's gotta be like some rye to it, there's gotta be, you know, some corn. Like, it tastes like just a heavily wheated bourbon, which is really funny. And then with the oat is kind of unlike anything that I can really pinpoint. The oat is just like oatmeal with a shot of whiskey added to it. And it's kind of unique and kind of cool. And hopefully this will be one of the first videos that lands featuring these two, because they were just released in November. And I'm not sure how many people have taken the time to make a video on them. As far as the Lennox goes, $14, or I'm sorry, MSRP 12 bucks, probably 14 to 15 bucks at most of your local brick and mortars. I think that this is a nice kind of change of pace for La Flor Dominicana, just like this is a nice kind of change of pace of Frey Ranch. And it's kind of fun whenever brands like this that we're so used to having it one way, like rye or bourbon, do something different. Or like with La Flor Dominicana, Ligero, 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 and more Ligero. So it's nice to just have a really nice long smoking session and have a La Flor Dominicana that reminds me of some of the earlier like Dominican 2000 series LFDs, that's where they're not as intense. And you get more barnyard sunflower out of it. Thank you so much for watching. Please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Leave me a comment below. Let me know what your favorite La Flor Dominicana is. And also, please feel free to reach out to us on Instagram @MasterYourAsh, and I will see you for the next cigar and 100% oat whiskey pairing.